So I checked the camera a week, like 3 or 4 days after the season it's already opened up, and I checked my camera and I had a bobcat on camera, and I had about 10 coyotes on camera, and a couple bears. Behind me I heard a slow, faint walk, and I thought it was either a coyote coming up to the bait pile, because I've had them on camera pretty much every single day for that entire opening week. And so I was sitting there waiting. So as soon as I seen that, instantly I knew it was a shooter. As soon as I looked down, I'm about 40 foot in the tree, and it was about probably 10 to 15 yards from me, basically right below me. And as soon as I seen his rack, I knew instantly it was a shooter.
All right, here we go again. Now look, I kind of dressed nice because I just got out of church, but it is Sunday, September the 24th, and I found another good out-of-state kill for you. I like doing this. The last one went really well, had a lot of good feedback on it. So, hey, why not shoot another one out there again? We're going to go on the East Coast again. North Carolina. Take your shirt off, whoop it around your head like a helicopter, right? If you old enough to remember that, your back was hurting when you woke up this morning. But seriously, got with a guy out there in North Carolina. I saw it on the Carolina Sportsman, and it is a hoss. Very, very nice deer. Probably one of the nicer deer I've seen thus far this year. As far as number of points, I mean, it looks like a rocking chair on top of this deer's head. So I think you guys will like it. The last one we did out of Kentucky went really well. So I said, hey, you know what? I'm going to reach out to this guy. I reached out to the Carolina Sportsman. They were like, I don't know how to get in touch with him. He kind of messaged us and asked if we could put the picture up. And so I shot him a message, cold call. What's the worst he's going to say? Nope. So, hey, bud, you want to do this? And he was like, heck yeah. So here we go. Going out North Carolina. Hope you like it. Again, in search of some really good deer nationwide. And I found one right here coming from North Carolina, Dawson Durham. How you doing, bud?
Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Not bad, not bad. So, dude, you and I talked briefly. I don't even know the story. So I'm excited to know what happened, why it happened, and all the good stuff behind this deer. So give it to us.
Okay, so my name is Dawson Durham. I hunt in North Carolina, northern Piedmont region. And North Carolina's not really known for their big bucks. This year it's been an exception because there's a 200 class deer just been killed, I think opening week, and a lot of like 180, mid 180 deer has been killed this week. But the story of my deer is really not a story at all. I have no history whatsoever of this deer. No trail cam pictures ever before of this deer, which kind of makes it crazy. So that week, season opened up November 9th for us. September 9th for us. And I had cameras out all over my farms. I leased a lot of land, and I used cell cams and I used non-cell cams. And then on this farm particularly, I use a Steph cam that's non-cell. So I checked the camera a week, I don't know, like 3 or 4 days after season it's already opened up, and I checked my camera and I had a bobcat on camera, and I had about 10 coyotes on camera and a couple bear, but no bucks whatsoever. I had a couple does, but no bucks, mainly just coyotes and bobcat and bear. So I decided I had no really big buck I was after when season opened. And I decided, I wanted to get in a tree fast as I could. So I got my bow and I put my cheap old Monotech G5 broadheads on my arrows because I knew I was going in the woods to hunt coyotes that day. And I really just wanted to get in a tree. So I put my, cheap fixed blade broadheads on, and I climbed up in my tree, and it was kind of windy that day, and I got in late. I try to get in the stand around 3 or 4. I got in at 5:15 just because I knew I was trying to hunt coyotes, or if a bobcat slipped in or something, I was just going to try to kill them. And I got in the stand, and in about 30 minutes, I seen a doe and a fawn come up a roadbed. Now, on this property, it's very hilly terrain. Basically, the only hunting area I have is this long roadbed that just is on top of a ridge, and there's oak trees all up on top of that, and a lot of acorns drop right there. So it's a good early season spot. Mm-hmm. And doe and fawn came in after about 30 minutes of getting set in. So it was about 5:30 then. And I watched them for a good half an hour probably. And I started hearing a slow walk behind me. And remind you, I'm about 40 foot in a tree. I'm a summit climber, a
Mm-hmm.
hunting climber all year long. And I was about 40 foot in a tree, and these does was in front of me. And I didn't really want to make movement to turn around to look behind me because they was about 20 yards in front of me eating acorns. I have a corn pile. They came into a corn pile briefly, but then they was eating mostly acorns. And behind me, I heard a slow, faint walk. And I thought it was either a coyote coming up to the bait pile because I've had them on camera pretty much every single day for that entire opening week. And so I was sitting there waiting to. It was this very. It didn't even sound like a deer. And eventually, out of peripheral vision of mine, like I seen a deer. I didn't realize. I thought it might have been a doe. I didn't realize what it was. So I looked down across my shoulder, and all I seen was a rack. I'd
Mm.
never had this deer on camera. And I didn't want to look at the antlers long because my adrenaline would start pumping. I would start getting shaky. You know how it is.
Oh, heck yeah, I know how it is.
So as soon as I seen that, like instantly, I knew it was a shooter. As soon as I looked down, I'm about 40 foot in a tree, and it was about probably 10 to 15 yards from me, basically right below me. Um, and as soon as I seen his rack, I knew instantly it was a shooter. So I didn't. I looked away. I tried to calm down a little bit. My heart was already racing. I got my bow slow as possible, and when I stood up and drew back, the arrow, he was so close and underneath me. The arrow, when I drew back on my rest, I have a dropper weight rest, and I guess it
Mm-hmm.
made that slight sound, and it kind of freaked him out a little bit, and he made a 360 and turned back down towards the hill where he came from. But he was staying right there, like he was still about 15 yards from me. And I had a split second to shoot, and I knew he was either going to blow or he was either going to, walk behind the tree where I couldn't even shoot my bow. So I released the arrow directly in his tenderloin area in his back, but I knew I had such an angle on him that anywhere I shot on the deer, it was going to exit his stomach pretty much at
Right,
the
right.
bottom of his white part of his stomach. So I shot in the tenderloin area up near his like up near his lungs area. So I knew if the air went straight through him, it at least hit a lung or something on the way out. And released the arrow about 15 yards away, and he went straight barreling down the hill behind me. I lost sight of him, and I didn't really know what to do. I sat there and I was so shaken up. I didn't even know what I shot. I thought it was a 10 pointer. Um, I was trying to think of the years, like last year's deer cam pictures. I was trying to think of what deer it could be. I had no idea what deer this was at all. I even got on my phone as soon as I sit down and calm down for like a brief 10 minutes. I got on my phone looking at old trail cam pictures, trying to think of what deer this would be because I remember seeing, and on one side when he was coming up the hill, I remember seeing like so many points on that one side. I knew it was at least a 10 pointer,
Right.
and I was trying to think of what deer that could be, and I didn't have no history at all with this deer and never had a picture of him whatsoever. And I was sitting there in my deer stand for like, I don't know. I gave it about 30 minutes in deer stand. I finally calmed down and I looked for blood and found blood on a leaf. I knew I hit him. The smack was so loud. He was so close to me that, it sounded like, I don't know, an arrow hitting a 5-gallon drum. And I found blood, and I knew that since I didn't make a perfect broadside shot like, every hunter wants to, I knew it was like directly down on him. I wanted to give him more time, so I got back in my deer stand. I sit there um, and waited. I don't know, about probably 5 minutes before dark before I started tracking them. And
Okay. So, what time did you think you shot him at?
I got in the stand. I know around 5:15. Because when I got to the bottom of my tree that day, it was like 5 o'clock. I checked my phone, put my phone in my pocket. And it was 5 o'clock. And the time I got set up, it was 5:15. The does came out about 30 minutes after I got in the stand, and then he started coming in. I would say around 6 to 6:15 ish, somewhere in
Okay.
that range. Which is still it was still very very light. Like
Oh
the
yeah.
sun was pretty much above the tree still. Like the sun hasn't set or anything. It was still windy. The woods was still alive. It hasn't really settled down and got in the prime time, I call it. So I wasn't expecting this deer whatsoever. I honestly thought it was a coyote coming up that hill. And which was so crazy is I went that day to hunt just to get in a stand, not to even deer hunt. Really, I was just trying to kill a coyote, or a bobcat or whatever that came. All these predators. I have bear on camera. It ain't bear season yet, so I couldn't kill a bear. But if a bear did come on camera, I had an extra water bottle in my bag. If a bear came in, I was going to throw a water bottle at him just to get him, stirred up away from my corn.
Mm-hmm.
So I had no attention of that day, which was it made the hunt way better. If I had thousands of pictures of the deer and knew I was going that day to kill that deer, I don't know, it'd been different. I knew, like when I looked at him, I knew it was him, but I had no idea. So it made it way more fun, to be in a tree and actually shoot him that day.
It's like getting a Christmas gift that you wasn't even expecting.
Yeah, and I believe every hunter, like when you go hunting and you don't have really not cell cams kind of ruin hunting, I think,
Yeah.
because I get pictures on my phone all the time, like all these deer in my bait pile. I don't even have to go check my camera anymore. I get all these pictures of deer in my bait pile, and then the ones I do go check, you check them, and you'll have does and little scrub bucks, and you're like, man, I ain't got nothing on camera. You don't even want to go hunting after you check a camera, and it's not a good camera check.
Yeah, I know what
And
you're saying.
yeah, and I feel like all these hunters, and especially me, I'm guilty of it. Like I'll go check a week's long worth of pictures. I'll have like 4,000 pictures, and I'll have just scrub bucks on camera, and I don't even want to get in a tree on the weekend that day. It could be even in rut, and I still don't even want to hunt because I ain't got nothing on camera. But that hunt, this early season, really proved to me that it don't matter what's on camera. You just need to get in a tree and hunt, pretty much.
Brother, I've been needing to hear this story. I'm out right now, and I've got nothing but does, couple hogs, and I'm just like, our season takes in next Sunday. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go to church. I'm going to spend a day with the girls. I don't have anything, but you never know. You never
Yeah.
know what's going to come in.
And I always say that, like, you never know, especially during rut. For me, rut, really late October and early November is the best time for my trail cam pictures. In North Carolina, for me, all my property I lease and land I've owned, it really don't get good until late October. I start getting, I'll have like little scrub bucks, like 100-inch bucks on camera right now, but I always get like my 130 to 150 class deer always in rut. Um, and during rut, when I'm hunting, you just never know what's going to come out. So I'm always like anticipating a big buck to walk out, but
Mm-hmm.
never during early season like this. So I don't know really what stirred up this deer and why he even changed his summer pattern, because acorns really ain't dropping where I live right now. And I've had corn out. I've had a good bait pile out. A whole September 1st is when I first started baiting, and I've had corn out ever since September 1st, always September the 14th, the day I killed them. And then for them 14 days, I've had this regular crowd of coyotes, bear, and some doe. I really don't know what stirred them up or pushed them towards me that day, but it was just a blessing.
Yeah.
I'm glad he did.
Isn't that the truth? Hey, has anybody else come forward and said, yeah, I've been watching that deer all year or anything like that?
Yeah, so when I killed him, I posted on Facebook, and man, it gained a lot of attention. I've had thousands of messages on Facebook. I've had probably 500 Facebook requests. I've had like 5 or 6 magazines reach out to me, and then I think Carolina Sportsman magazine did a little story on me, and once they did their story, I started getting neighbors that I didn't even know hunted near me, and they reached out to me. And actually, a woman and her husband had this deer on camera for 5 years. They said, I
Goodness.
don't know. I really don't know how old this deer was. I really haven't aged a deer. I mean, it was huge body, um, definitely probably 200-pound range deer, and they said they had that deer on camera for 5 years. They have plenty of trail cam pictures of them, and I actually had another guy send me a Facebook picture of him in velvet of this year. In let's see, when was it? It was it was a month before. It was 1 month before I shot him. He had a velvet picture of him. So the deer was about a 2 mile radius from where I actually shot the deer at.
Huh. And and to your knowledge, he has never ventured over in that area?
No, which is so crazy. I've never had last year. I've never had any rut picture because I've seen pictures. now that people sent me pictures of him, what he looked like last year and the year before, I seen what he looked like, and I know I've never had a single picture of this deer. And I'm type of hunter. I have probably, I think I have over 50 to 55 non-cell cams, and I have over 50 cell cams. So I run cameras more than I love camera. I love having cameras out more than I actually like getting in a tree sometimes. I put cameras out everywhere on road beds, scrapes, mock scrapes, bait piles. It don't matter. I'll put cameras out anywhere. Even I'll have cameras out in my yard sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask you, what's your favorite? I mean, if you got that many, you have a favorite brand.
Yeah, my favorite non-cell cam is the Steph cam. I think 26 megapixels or whatever. It's a cheaper version. I like it for a non-cell cam because if it gets put on public land and gets stolen, it ain't no big deal. It's like a $80 camera. And then my favorite cell cam is Tacticam, the reveals. I've had the original reveal, the OG, and then I've had the XB, the X, the Pro, the newest one's the Pro, and I've had every one besides the SK version that has the oh god, what's it called? The sun thing where
I'm trying to think of what you're talking about. See, I got a favorite brand, and it's here in Louisiana. You need to check them out. Wise Eye.
oh yeah, I've heard of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I like them, man. They're pretty. I've got a spot way down in the bottoms where I can't get any cell phone service. We had to take a ladder and run an antenna way up in the tree to finally get with one of the competitors. I don't want to name the name, but put the Wise Eye down there. I mean, it's just firing them off. So
Yeah,
give them a shot.
yeah.
Take a look at.
I actually looked up Wise Eye probably a month before season started because I always look for more camera. I have so many cameras. I have all brands. I've used pretty much all the big name brands. Like I've used pretty much every. You go to Bass Pro Shop, I've owned almost every camera they had there.
Yeah.
Because I love having cameras out. Like I have so many pictures on my phone and my laptop of deer that I've never shot. Like I got some 180 plus deer I've never seen in person, but I got them on camera, and I just love having history of a deer. If it comes back a year or two later, I'll be like, I keep tabs of what deer I have on my farms and what I don't, and I love having like bobcat on camera, bear, coyote. I just love having all these weird pictures and cool stuff. I don't know.
Hey, and I tell you, I like that Tacticam though. My
Yeah,
cousin's got that Tacticam, and we were at Thanksgiving. He was like, "Watch this," and I know it may sound like the weirdest thing, but my favorite thing about it is where you can take the black and white nighttime picture, and it'll flop over to color.
yeah,
And
and
I'm like, yeah, that's to me, that's like because you're going to see something in a black and white. You're like, what is that? And
yeah.
then when you flop it to color, I mean, it makes a whole difference to me.
Yeah, and then I really like to feature if I'm if I got a big buck on camera like in the middle of the night, let's just say at 9 o'clock tonight, a big buck shows up, and I got my delay set to like let's say 30 seconds or a minute, and I'm wanting more pictures of deer. I can actually hit demand photo, and it'll send more pictures. Like if I have a deer walking by and I want demand photo, I can take a picture of real. As soon as I click that button, it takes a picture on the camera and then sends it to my phone. So if I
Oh, I
want
got
more
what you're saying.
pictures of a deer, yeah, if I want more
Yeah.
pictures of a deer, um, then I can get it demand. Like I just hit demand because most cameras, like most cell cameras I've used, like you put like a 30-second delay and it'll just
Yep.
take pictures every 30 seconds, and you can't like. I can get on my app and hit demand photo, and it'll take a picture as soon as I hit that
That's
button,
awesome. I like
which is
that
cool.
feature. I
Yeah.
like that. So, tell me what kind of bow you're shooting.
I use a Prime. I got a Prime Logic CT3. I know I like the Prime. I've shot Matthews. I've shot Hoyt. I've shot Bear. I went to a bow shop in 2018, and I went there to get the newest Matthew they had. I want the best Matthew they had, and I got there and I was shooting a Matthew for like 30 minutes, and I liked it. But a guy said you need to shoot the Prime, so I shot a Prime. And it was like the newest bow they had there, and I fell in love. It's got the dual cams. It's got 4 cams on it,
Hmm.
and it's very stable, quiet. I really, really like it. And when I draw it back, you can hold it with your pinky.
Wow.
Yes, it's big time let off on it.
I like that you shot more than just one style. Because, too
Oh
many
yeah,
people go into these bow shops and they're just going to shoot what either their friends shoot or what they've seen on television. And
yeah,
I'm telling you, these different bows fit different people differently. And until
yeah,
you find one that actually fits you, you don't, if I tell a person all the time, if they don't shoot more than one brand, they're doing themselves an injustice because there's so many out there that are such good. And I agree with you. That Prime is a great bow, man. That they make a really, really top shelf equipment.
yeah. The only reason I didn't pick the Matthews is when I was shooting that day, I shot for about 30 minutes, and it how the handle it just rested weird on my thumb. And it was leaving a red imprint on my top
Mm-hmm.
thumb knuckle right there. It just didn't feel. That's the only issue I had with the whole bow. It shot good, fast, everything. I liked everything about it. And I was shooting bullseye almost every time, and it was good. It was a good bow, but I just didn't really like the handle part. And then when I shot the prime, it just fit. It just felt like it just fit me way better, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So
and
go ahead. No, no. What you was gonna
uh,
say?
well, I was going to say I was shooting the Montec G5, the 3 blade fixed blade, and that I use them. That was my go-to for the longest time. And then this year, early season, like probably about the beginning of summer, I went ahead and bought the Iron Wheel broadheads. I don't know if you've ever
Mm-hmm.
heard of them.
Yep, yep.
They're really really
Big old
expensive.
bread. Yeah, big old
Yeah,
broadhead.
I paid 200 like $60 for like 6 of them. And I went ahead and I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and get these. They're supposed to be like really good. And I've seen them on TV and everything. And I got them. I've been shooting them all summer, and I fell in love with them. They're razor sharp. I shot a target with one of them probably 150 times, and then the like 150th time I pulled it out and I was trying to clean off the target little pieces on it, and when I did it, it cut my finger wide open. It was still razor
Wow.
sharp. Yeah, and
Golly.
I fell in love. It shoots straight. It's quiet, and that's what I was going deer hunt with this whole year. And then I went hunting that first week of the season and killed that big buck, and I didn't even get to use my broadheads I've been practicing with all year.
Ain't that about right?
Yeah.
Hey, the deer I did an interview with the other day, he killed that deer with a G5 Montec. Sure did. When
Oh,
you said that,
that.
I'm like, man, G5 is gonna love this.
Oh yeah, they're good broadheads. That was my go-to for the longest time until I just switched this year to the iron wheel ones, and not because I didn't like the G5s, just because I wanted to. Every hunter just wants to try something different pretty
Yes,
much every year.
sir.
So
That's right. I bought some land sharks, some Simmons land sharks. I've got a mechanical I'm dialed in on, and here a week before our season starts, I decided I wanted to shoot fixed blade. So I'm out here
mm,
this morning right before church. I'm shooting, trying to get everything dialed in because I want to practice all week. And I'm like, man, what am I doing? Why didn't I do this back in June, July, something like that?
yeah, I shot Rage for the longest time in high school, and I loved Rage, but then I'm more of a fixed blade guy now because I've had Rage not open up for me. I've shot doe and hit them in the shoulder, and like one blade will open up, and the other blade it'll make it just stick in that shoulder and not go all the way through. It won't bust that shoulder with like a fixed blade would.
Yeah,
So now I'm primarily fixed blade now, and
yeah.
ever since I switched over to fixed blade, you don't have to trust them. They're always going to be they're fixed. You don't have to worry about them opening. Or most of the time they got more of a impact. They'll bust through bone pretty good. So
Okay, so let's get back on the deer. So you shot him. How far did he go down that hill?
I'm hunting on a roadbed, and it's at the very top of this ridge, and it probably ran 150 yards. But if it was on flat land, if let's just say I shot in a soybean field or something like that, it probably wouldn't have went 30. I feel like he fell down the hill more than he ran and died.
Mm,
Um, so he probably would have ran probably 50 yards, but he ran about 150 down this hill, and he was all the way down in like a creek bottom. Um, but that arrow really messed him up. It went completely through him all the way out his stomach. And some of the pictures you see of laying down, you'll see the blood all over the white spot of his belly. It went in his tenderloin area, and then I think it clipped both of his lungs all the way out to the white part of his belly.
oh, that's good. Good shot
I've
there.
never, I've never, I've never shot a deer like that, and I didn't really want to shoot this deer like that. But when you're in the moment, I had like a split second to think, and I knew once he did that 360 when he heard me draw back, I knew he wasn't going to the bait pile. At that moment, he was either going to go down that hill or he's going to blow.
Yeah.
And I knew I had to do something right then. I probably would have never seen that deer again. I don't know if he would ever show back up on camera after that day. I don't know
Yeah.
what pushed him up that day. I don't know if maybe he was going to come, for weeks after. I don't know, but I didn't want to risk it, so I just let it loose. I mean, it was a 15-yard shot, or probably less than 15 yards. Probably it was between 10 and 15 yards from me.
Yeah.
Basically, I was looking down on I could probably spit on his back.
Golly.
Yeah, yeah.
How was the pack out? I mean, was it easy to get out? Did you have? I mean, because you go look, I'm a flatlander, and if something
Hmm.
went downhill, I'm like, my goodness, I hope my truck's down there, because I ain't
Yeah.
want to take it
So
back up.
So basically, the last like 3 years, pretty much any deer where I hunt at I hunt in three different counties and I lease land in three different counties, and all three counties are very hilly terrain. Pretty much any deer and every deer I've ever killed, doe, buck, it don't matter. I have to cape them out, and then I'll get the meat out and put it in I just put them in Ziploc bags, trash bags, and I'll put it in my backpack and carry it out. I've done that
That's
pretty
my
much.
guy.
Yeah, I pretty much done that every time, and it's kind of trained me because I hunt public land too. And I go to Ohio and I hunt public land, and I haven't shot a deer I've shot one buck on public land, 8-pointer, and I had to do it the same way. But um, it's kind of training. When you go into public land, you hike like 5 miles in. You're gonna have to pack them out. So yeah, I do it on my own land and my own lease land. So it's kind of trained me. I can do it pretty quick now. So once I take my pictures and do what I want to do, pictures wise, I put my camera up and then I can cape it out pretty quick on ground. Some I've had pull them up in a tree before and cape them out like hanging in a tree, but I find it better now. I can just cape them out on ground. I get leaves all over the cape and everything, but taxidermists can clean it off.
Yeah, let me ask you this, because I do all that. I break my deer down in the woods, put them in my bag, and I'm coming out. I'm once in, once out. I don't believe in stomping around the woods.
Yeah.
How do you cape up a deer? Do you just go from the rear end all the way up, or do you split them down the middle and go up, or how are you in the field breaking these deer down?
So I always get nervous. It depends on what mount I want. Some mounts you need more cape. If you got like a turning mount, I don't know what they're called, but like if you got one that's like turning around like 90
Mm-hmm.
degrees, they need more of the cape to make that turn when they're putting it on the mount. So my taxidermist just told me to basically get much as you can of the cape. So now I've gotten a habit where I go back behind his back legs and I cape it all the way up,
I
and
got you.
then I cut his like legs off and I tube him up. I tube, like I don't cut down. Some people cut down the front legs.
Mm-hmm.
I cut the actual hooves off and I tube them up and just
I
pull
got
them
you.
out.
I got you.
Um, so
That's good.
yeah,
I like that. Let me ask you
yeah.
this: what kind of bag you use?
I got several bags. Honestly, I don't really have no specific favorite bag I use. This hunt, I actually used a Eddie Bauer. I don't know if you know him. It's not
Dude,
even
I
a
love
hunt.
Eddie Bauer.
It's not even a hunt. It's not even a hunting bag. It's just a big hiking bag I bought because I've traveled to Europe a couple times and I needed a big. We backpacked to Europe this early spring and I needed a big backpack to like go hike in. And we were like we went to Europe for like a month and I was just going to live out of this backpack. So I needed a big backpack and it's just a black and gray backpack and that's what I used for this hunt.
Yeah,
And then I got a separate camo bag. I don't even know what brand it is. I put my gear in. But like when I'm packing out, most of the time I try to get like a big hiking bag that's light. It's got good support. I can buckle it around my waist and my shoulders. So because that meat and everything, depends on how I get all the meat out. So sometimes it's heavy. It's really heavy on your
mm-hmm.
shoulders,
Yeah,
depending on how
yeah.
far you.
A
Yeah,
mature, I've done mine, and a mature deer is going to weigh anywhere. Roughly, the meat's going to weigh around 60 pounds.
yeah,
And if you got to tote that, that's after a little while your shoulders start to wear out for sure.
yeah. And then I got my bow in my hand, and then for me, I always carry my camera equipment. I try to self film. I was going to self film this hunt, but I didn't go in to hunt a deer, so I wasn't going to try to self film me shooting a coyote or something.
Yeah,
So I didn't have all my camera gear. I have a camera arm and I have a nice camera and everything set up for self filming, but I wouldn't even that day. I wouldn't even. I didn't even set nothing up because I knew I wasn't going to kill a big buck. I was just going to kill a coyote, and sure enough, a big buck walked out, and that's how it always works. But um,
isn't that the truth?
I'm trying to get into the saddle hunting. I know I hunt out a Summit Climber, and I'm trying to get into saddle hunting. I haven't bought a saddle yet, but I've done a lot of research, and I think I'm going to pull the trigger this Christmas and all season this upcoming all for 2024 season. I will be ready to saddle hunt. So
I've saddle hunt. Been hunting. This will be my third year, and I love it absolutely. It's lightweight. Some people say it's 360 shooting radius. I'm not comfortable enough to swing around there like like an ape trying to hang off the side of
mm,
this tree. But yeah, I can shoot probably 275 degrees around me. There's one little spot. I'm a right-handed shot, so off to my right side, there's a spot right there where I don't feel comfortable. But any other time, oh yeah, they're dead. I
yeah,
love it. Really, really good. And I do safety in my day job, and people are like, "Well, I don't see it being safe." No, it's absolutely safe. It is
yeah,
100. If you know, watch what you're doing. It comes with a lineman's rope. Use your lineman rope to get up, and I'm telling you, brother, you'll really like it. I think.
yeah, yeah. I really like my Summit Climber. I've been hunting on my Summit Climber since 2018 or 2017, I believe, and I love it. But the only thing is it's really bulky, like on your back, especially if you got your bow, and like you can't put your bow on your side, like you can't like carry it beside you because it's like you have to carry your arm out kind of sideways because
Yep.
that big, big climber behind you, and then if you got to pack out a deer, it's just so much weight.
Yeah.
So I think next year I'm going to definitely go to a saddle.
Yeah, and look at it. I mean, you may not like it. See if you can find
Yeah,
one to try first. That's
yeah,
my encouragement. See if you just try one from a buddy or something. See if you like it.
yeah.
So, tell me about the rack. How many points did he have?
I call it a 15 pointer. I know by the Boone and Crockett scoring system, any points less than an inch don't count. But it had 13 points greater than 1 inch, and it had 2 points that was less than 1 inch. But there was about a half an inch. So for me, 100%. And I count any if I kill a buck and it has points above the brow tines, not like them little stickers. Most time I don't count the little stickers, but
Mm-hmm.
anything above the brow tines, if it's on its main frame, I always count them if you can put a ring on it. That's kind of like my go-to. If you can put a ring on it, if it's like that about a half inch, I'll count as a point just for me. I know it in the scoring system, it wouldn't count. So every news article or every magazine that's asked me how many points, I say 15 points, but 13 greater than 1 inch, two less than an inch, because I know there's hunters out there saying it ain't a 15 pointer if it's got two less than an inch. So,
Well, you know what I'm gonna say to them guys because I'm an official Buckmaster scorer. It's
uh
your
huh,
deer, brother. You call it what you want
yeah,
to. It's what I tell
yeah,
people all the time. You call it what you want to. I gotta say 13 scoreable points, but you can call it a 15 point if you want to.
yeah, yeah.
That's your deer,
And
brother.
and I've had 1,000 people, no, probably more than 1,000 people, ask me of what it scored, and a 100% honest answer, I have not scored it, and I don't know if I will, to be honest.
Really?
So in 2018, so everything prior, I started hunting in 2009. I shot my first buck. My first deer ever was an 8 point buck in 2009. I was in fifth grade, and ever since that day, I've been hunting pretty much every day during the season. After school, I skip school, all kinds of stuff. And I hunt basically bow season, muzzleloader season, and rifle in North Carolina for ever since 2009. And from 2009 all the way to 2018, I used to shoot anything. Scrub bucks, 4 pointers, spikes. It didn't matter as long as it had antlers. I would shoot it. And in 2018, I started an outdoor page on Instagram called Tracking Racks Outdoors,
Hmm.
and I made a promise to myself. I gained a lot of land. I got very fortunate. I've got a lot of land, a lease, and a lot of land that people let me hunt. And I made a promise to myself in 2018 when I started this outdoor page. I wouldn't shoot anything less than 125 inches, which would be a Pope and Young deer.
Hmm.
And I mainly hunt bow and arrow too. In 2018, I got the new prime bow, and I told myself I'm not going to shoot anything less than Pope and Young, and I'm only going to bow hunt primarily. I will use a gun sometimes in rut. It depends on what stand I go to, but mainly 99% of the time I got a bow in my hand. And in 2018, I made that promise to myself I wouldn't shoot anything less than Pope and Young, and I've shot 9 deer since 2018 that would all score over 125 inches. In the last 2 years, I've tagged out in North Carolina both years. I went to Ohio and killed 8-pointer, Pope and Young 8-pointer, and I went to Oklahoma and killed 11-pointer. That would be well over Pope and Young. But I don't really care. To me, I'm not big on the score. I consider myself a trophy hunter because I won't kill anything less than 125 inches. But once it passes that mark, most time I have history of the deer, because if it's over 125, I'll already have like 2 or 3 years worth of pictures of them. And I really don't care about the score at that point. If I have 2 years worth of pictures of a deer and I know it's over 125 inches, then the score don't really matter to me. As long as I'm after that one deer particularly, then that's all. If once I kill it, I'm satisfied. I don't really care. I mean, score don't really bother me too much.
Yeah.
It could be a 130-inch buck or a 150-inch buck. If I was going after that deer, that's the only thing that matters. If I got it and it was successful, that's the main thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I tell people all the time the most overrated part of deer hunting is the score. That
Yeah.
is, it's irrelevant to me. I like to do it because I like to touch these deer. I like to meet people. But at the end of the day, I tell people all the time, don't hang your hat on what this deer scores. Hang your hat on how good the story was.
Yeah, like I said, I've had close to 1,000 people, or maybe more than 1,000 people, reach out to me and ask me what it would score, and I tell them all the same thing. I haven't scored it, and I don't know if I plan on scoring it. The last 2 years, I killed a 11-pointer, a 10-pointer, and an 8-pointer last year, and I didn't score any of them. I know they would all score 120. I've been hunting long enough. I kind of know what a deer would score by just looking at them in the field or on trail cameras.
Mm-hmm.
So like I can definitely tell if it's Pope and Young or not. And if it clears the Pope and Young mark for me, then it's game on. Depending on if I got like a lot of big bucks, like if I got like 3 bucks and they're all like 2 or 140, and then I got a 160 deer, like clearly that 160 is gonna be bigger, so I'll go after that one, of course. But it don't really, like, once I kill the deer, I don't really care about the score. Like, 'cause I've already killed the deer and I'm gonna mount it. So I mean,
I
score
like
really
that, brother.
don't
I like
matter.
that.
Yeah.
Well, you got anything else you want to add to the story?
um, I don't guess so.
I
I
think
mean,
we have covered it all.
yeah, it really wasn't a story. I mean, like I said, I've had zero history with the deer and zero pictures with the deer, and that's what made it 10 times as fun. My advice to anybody out there: if you ain't got nothing on camera, and I just go out there and hunt, because you never know what'll show up. That deer was pushed maybe by, I don't know, coyotes could have pushed it up on my property, and I just got lucky that day. And my advice to anybody: just if you ain't got nothing on camera, I'll just go out there and hunt.
That's right. That's right. Because
Yeah,
you can't kill them on the couch, can you?
yeah, yeah.
That's right. All right, cuz. Well, hey, I appreciate you taking time this afternoon to talk with us, and
Yeah.
congratulations on that great deer, brother. All right, so look, I told you guys, we like doing this kind of stuff, this bringing you some news and whatnot like that. So I got something out of Louisiana I think is very interesting. Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries, see, I'm from Louisiana, so cited an individual for migratory game bird violation in Plaquemine Parish on September 17th. Agents cited Connor Andrew Power, 23, of Hammond, for transporting illegally dressed migratory game birds. I'm going to tell you in a moment why I chose this one to talk about. Connor, I'm not trying to pick on you. What I'm trying to do here is I got to start. Trust me, there's a reason. All right, just hang in there. Agents were on patrol in the Venice area on September 17th when they observed Power operating a vessel. Agents made contact with him, found him in possession of 24 migratory game bird breasts with no tags or identifiers present. Agents seized the 24 breasts and then donated them to a local charity. Here you go. This is the caveat right here. This is what I'm saying. It is illegal to transport fully dressed migratory game birds without leaving the head or one fully feathered wing attached to the bird. In this episode, you heard Dawson talking about, he and I were talking about breaking the animals down, put them in our bags. It is strongly encouraged, if you want to do that, leave the sex organs attached to some of the meat somehow. Make sure that you've got the proper documentation for your state. Some states may not even allow it. Make sure that your state allows for that type. That is, to me, the handiest way. I can clean a deer quicker on the ground in the woods than I can hanging up in the air, because I've done it for so many years now. Just make sure you're following your state rule. All right. Make sure you're following your state laws. Don't break laws, because we talked about it on this podcast. If it is legal in your state, hey, I encourage you, try it, because you can throw the meat in the bathtub, wash it off if it gets dirty, dry it out, take it to the packing house, and you're done, man. It's just that easy. But make sure, Connor, he didn't have his proper, he had them breasted out, but he didn't have the identifier. He didn't have the tagging, anything like that. So make sure, guys, that if you decide you do want to break your animals down in the woods, throw them in a backpack and walk out, you've got if it's a female, leave the sex organ attached to the hind quarter. If it's a male, it'll be easy to leave them attached. Just try your best to follow the law. My name is Greg Hicks. This is the Antlers and Hicks podcast. And as always, I'm going to encourage you guys to live your life past 20 yards. We'll see you next time.